Q&A session. Any questions? Okay. Let's start with Human. Just don't move. Yeah.
فاز جان مرسی از آمادگیت و صحبتی کردی. من سوال انگلیسی می‌پرسم چون دوستانم هستش. I think during your presentation you tried to make the connection between form and content, and you brought some evidences that explains how Parafhanov is trying to interconnect these two. But what I'm a little bit afraid is that the narrative is a little bit misleading in a sense that, as you were saying, it's different from socialist realist cinema, of course. But what's the point of giving us clue about the stage of Ivan's life? We see that, so for example, we have his loneliness, we have his marriage, we have his death. This is somehow bringing in some causality into the story. So in that sense, and also you were kind of mentioning about Christianity and paganism and what's the connection here. So what I'm thinking is that from one perspective, this is actually a realist film. Why? Because he's putting the camera in that rural space. So in that sense, if you read the film in that way, it is not like very different from the other films. Like he's not trying to invent reality. This is reality. So I want to get your opinion about whether this reading is right, that he's trying to break away from Soviet realism, but in a sense he can do it like some anti-plot film of like Alain Renaud, that you don't have any sense of space and time. We do have something here. Do you agree with this assessment?
I think I agree with you in some sense, and I believe that you're right, but I think you also have to give credit. So now that you're criticizing, I become the player of the defender. So I think that he's adapting from a novel, and he's breaking a lot of problems that the novel has, and so he's in that sense really avant-garde, and he's using techniques that he wants, and he's breaking some of the restrictions, and he's doing the way that he likes. So I don't really understand what can he do. If it would be another movie, but I believe that he's done well in the sense that he's breaking free. But in the section that I mentioned, that you can also understand the impact of others. Obviously, he's coming from, this is the first film that is breaking free, and he's coming from a background that nobody can really escape from, right? So, so I think obviously understanding that this is a story of a life and has a start and a middle and ending, although they're repeating themselves, the spring comes back. So the time is rotational in a sense, right? So, but anyways, I think I give credit to him to use some of the elements of socialist realist cinema. Is not,
If anybody has questions, I have two questions. First one is so easy. So what this symbol is about?
This one?
Yeah.
I don't know. Love?
Love? Okay, that sounds strange. The second one, have you had any time to look at the symbols and to figure out, just to list them, all of those things, or not? Just getting across it?
No. I had the time to list this. I mean, everybody has time for everything, but...
No, really. Have you looked at the symbols?
I mentioned some of them. I mentioned the fact that many of those symbols are regarding the manhood crisis of the character. I mentioned that, and some homosexual, erotic references as well. But you don't think that I didn't do a list of all of them, because there's an object, special object that you can see, that obviously when you see it that you can see what's referring to. But the thing is, why I didn't feel the need to list that object that was in time 2.40.
Well, no, not that point or that detail, but I was just looking at some very specific ones that we may not know. For example, the one that they have something like covering their head, and they have a ritual playing in New York. It was a Christmas thing. And it was interesting for me why they have this kind of clothing on.
Okay, I can talk about that. I thought that we would talk about the specific scenes and we can talk about it together, so I didn't say. But the thing is about that specific scene that you were talking, those masks, right? Obviously, it's part of the tradition. What I felt that it's a technique, again, another bothersome technique to not let you know who is the person who is seducing Polania. Is it a sorcerer or is it Ivan? Because at some point you would see that, the first point, you would see that somebody is seducing Polania, and then the camera again turns away and you see that the guy takes his mask and it's Ivan. So you feel that, okay, there is a betrayal happening because he's here, right? Although if you look at it as a metaphoric way, you can't say that's really, it was a betrayal because this is a myth, right? Maybe time has passed during that shift. But then again, the second time, the mask would go on and you see that it's sorcerer. So there's a playfulness in that scene that you don't know, you guess and you run.
Okay,
probably.
so that's not
That's
the
what
right
I felt.
person, yeah, but that's the ritual. Okay, thank you. Any question? Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.